So originally this was going to be a much more positive video than it turned out to be. Originally I was going to talk about how excited I was for this expansion to the toy shop. You know, once upon a time I was going to talk about how thrilling this was and all the plans I had for this, and yeah, things have changed. So let me give you the rundown here. So, as we remember, I do not own this toy shop much as I would love to. No, someone else owns it. They pay the bills, they make the orders. And when I say there's something we need to get a hold of, if it's not something he knows of, understands, or enjoys, it can be a little bit of like pulling teeth to convince him that this is a good business decision. So when we got people asking us for Dungeons and Dragons supplies, it was a really hard sell. I had to start taking down like a note every single time someone asked us for D&D. And once it got to the point where it was like weekly, someone asking, that's when I finally got him to pull the trigger. But it's one of those, it's a balancing act when you bring in anything new into a toy store. So, like, for instance, when someone calls me on the phone, and they ask, like, do you carry Dungeons and Dragons? You know, previously I had to go, no, we don't really have anything at this time. They hang up and they never call again. I never hear from them anymore on anything. Like, that's it, right? So I'm out the customer forever. So the trick is to find the balance between when do we know that there's enough demand to take a risk on it versus how long, versus like how long it takes to actually pull the trigger on it, because that can lead to missing out on a lot of customers. We got to the point where for like 2 or 3 months, we had someone asking or calling the shop literally every week. Different people every week asking for D&D, and I kept having to say no. But really, it was like 6 months of people asking me for Dungeons & Dragons stuff. You know, it was sporadic for times, but it kept picking up momentum until we finally have enough people asking every week that I finally got the boss man to cave and invest in what you see here. So I hope we didn't miss out on the market. But even if we timed it correctly, we still might have missed out on the market. So what you see here is something of like a sampler platter of Dungeons and Dragons, I would say. This is basically a starting kit for D&D. You got the 3 core rule books. We've got some of the better expansions. This is like the big expansion of all, like the 3 real books you need to build the game through. Spell cards, so you're not flipping through your books all the time. We got bundles of figurines, individual minis. We've got, all of these pre-painted ones from booster boxes. Dice, just tons and tons and tons of dice. I was very insistent that we have tons of dice. DM screen, starter kit, play mat. We just got in the big adult blue shadow dragon. Super cool, right? So this was super exciting for me, because you know me, I love my Dungeons & Dragons. I love getting to talk Dungeons & Dragons in the shop, compare all of our stories. People freak out when they find out about my ridiculously, overpowered ranger. But it's fun times, right? It's something I have a passion for that I finally get to share in the store. I thought to myself, great, so what we can do stuff with this, we can rearrange furniture and have like a learn to play D&D night. I can print dice towers off the 3D printer and get us even more stock than you see here. I can there's so many things you can do when you have this as a supply. And it's great for the area too, because our toy shop is smack dab in between 2 big cities. Fort Myers, which does have its own D&D stores, but Naples, which is a big money city, they have nothing. You are a good 45-minute drive to a gaming store if you live in Naples. But not anymore. Not anymore. You can get your gaming supplies here. Come get your dice. Come get your books. Come get your spell cards. Come play Dungeons and Dragons. It's a fantastic time. That was the plan. That was the plan. So, for those who aren't keeping up with what's going on, Wizards of the Coast wants to completely revoke the original Open Gaming license and replace it with something they call an Open Gaming license that is not open at all. I've talked about this as a whole video before. I'm going to go over it again because there's been changes. So, they basically wanted to strip down the original OTL, the original OGL, in order to put in a system that lets them monetize any other published work, published streams, whatever. Allow them to shut down anyone using D&D as any kind of level of competition, like virtual tabletops or Pathfinder. There's basically an open gaming license that wasn't open at all. And there's a few caveats to this. Number one, there's thousands of people that make a career off of Dungeons and Dragons, whether it's being a professional DM or writing their own modules and selling them. There are also, like a lot of artists that take in work from those companies. And those people are out of work too. There's a lot of people whose finances depend on this OGL. And the original OGL was designed to not be revocable. There's nothing in the language legally that allows it to be killed off. It's supposed to be an infinite license. They're going to try and force it to be non-infinite, finite, even though legally it may not be a thing they can do, but they're probably going to try and push it through anyway. Now, since I did that video, Wizards has backpedaled a little bit. They claim that document was a draft, that wasn't exactly what was going to be published, which is nonsense because we know the date it was going to go live and they had to pull it back. We know that document was spread around to third-party companies that they had license with to tell them this is how things are going to be soon. It was a boat of lies is what it was. And they're still lying. They're still absolutely lying. They put out a revised version. We're up to 1.2 now, which protects which supposedly, no. You can still sell your supplies and all that. You can still stream it and share your game stories and all that. If you do a module, we're not going to claim, if you do a module or a homebrew setting, we're not going to claim ownership over it, anything like that. Things protected by the original OGL, we're not touching those. The problem with the revised version is that they are still allowing for language that would allow them to change that at any point. So the trick is to get us to agree to this revised version of the OGL, and then once it's in place, they can just sneak in the old version that we rejected, whatever they want, because now there's legal wording for it, and there's nothing we can do about it. Hey, we agreed to the new one, right? So this is part of the new one. Suck it. So, yeah. I'm still going to say support the open OGL hashtag. Continue canceling your D&D Beyond subscriptions. The only reason Wizards of the Coast was willing to talk is because so many people canceled. Something like 40,000 people canceled D&D Beyond, which, that hurts their bottom dollar immediately. And that's the only thing they care about. So target that. Keep canceling it. Until they say the original OGL is safe and we're not replacing it at all, keep at it. Simple as that. I mean, this is a company that claims we're not making enough money. We're not monetizing D&D enough. There's too many ways there's too much market for D&D out there that we can't make a dime off of. Wizards of the Coast profited $1.3 billion in 2022. And apparently they're the most profitable branch of Hasbro. So I don't want to hear a thing about that. It's lies. It's nothing but lies. And they're trying to get us to let our guard down. Or not. Don't let your guard down. They're still going to try and screw us over. But that's the situation D&D is in now. So now what do? I just talked the boss into dropping $1,000 in supplies for Dungeons and Dragons, and it sells, so he's had to restock it. There is demand for it because there's plenty of local players. People just buy the books at Barnes and Noble, and they don't know what's going on with the OGL. They don't know. They have no idea what Wizards is trying to do. So, I have to go through all that too. Like I have to figure out all that too. It's hard. It's really rough. So there's people who come in now, people who are big into D&D, but they're not going to buy a single thing off of these racks because they're protesting Wizards of the Coast. So like, I mean, that's part of business because you can never anticipate the trends, right? Like we've got Funko Pops and action figures for Rick and Morty. I'm probably going to have a hard time getting rid of those for a while. You can't predict real life. And you can't predict corporate greed. Sometimes that helps a shop like this. Because when they get greedy about new product, people go and try and find the old product that they want more. So, hey, guess which shop benefits, Especially because we don't deal directly with a big company like a Hasbro or anything. So anything you buy here, they're not going to see a dime from. And there's a lot of people who like that if they're upset with a company. This we do still actively get from distributors. If we reorder more, Wizards of the Coast directly profits. And I still love D&D. I still love playing D&D. I love talking D&D, and I really do feel like we have a huge market that we could tap. But that market just shrunk considerably through no fault of our own. It's just random happenstance. So, like, I don't even want to tell the boss this is going on. We'll just tell him, like, okay, look, D&D's in a rough patch right now. But we've made sales. We've sold things out and had to restock, so it's not like, it's not like it's hurting us to have, but it is the worst timing I think we've had. Really the worst timing. And, this is me wanting, like, I want D&D in here as soon as possible, and the boss going, nope, 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 nope. If this was in here 6 months ago, no problem. No problem whatsoever. Everything that we put in, we've already profited on, we've already established an audience for. Now, no, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Still want the section to do great, but now there's this level of uncomfort. Like, if this section does great, I'm going to have to support Wizards of the Coast and order more. It sucks. I feel like this is what the same situation Critical Role is in. Because knowing them, like literally having to talk to one of them in person. Thank you, Laura Bailey, once again. I know them as people who would support the creators, who would not be in favor of what Wizards of the Coast is trying to pull. But they are contractually obligated with a lot of Wizards of the Coast stuff, so they can't do anything about it. They just kind of have to keep rolling along. Here's our cartoon that's got a new season, and we got a spinoff on the way. We've got our D&D show every week, of course. Their entire brand is D&D. They're stuck. And this, on a much smaller scale, is the same. I'm stuck. We just dug this hole, and I'm already burying myself in it. But that's how it goes. That is what happens sometimes when you can't predict the product. And you just have to roll with the punches, try the best, and if you miss the timing, you miss the timing. Happens. It's part of business. But man, what bad timing. Oh well. So, I'll do what I can. I will target the casual audience that has no idea that the OGL stuff is going on. I will try and sell through what I've got. And hopefully by the time I need to restock anything, Wizards isn't being such a douche anymore. And I guess that's the plan from now on, because just sometimes you just kind of have to roll with the punches and make the best of what goes on. That's the toy store life. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.